board please call roll?
Arencibia,
Present.
Hall, Segura,
Here.
Solis,
Present.
Tarantino,
Here.
Aguirre,
Here.
Stubblefield.
Thank you. We'll now hold a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board met in closed session preceding this meeting to discuss the following issues. 1, student expulsion, suspended expulsion, reinstatement, education code 48916-48 to 48918. Students identified by ID numbers. 2, public employee discipline, dismissal release code, reclassification, dismissal release, reclassification, reassignment, resignation, transfer, government code 54957. 3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2 of subdivision D of government code section 54956.9. 4, conference with labor negotiator, government code section 54957.6. And 5, public employee performance evaluation, government code section 54957. The board took the following actions. Moved by Solis, seconded by Segura, to accept the administrative hearing panel's recommendation to approve the reinstatement of 6 students with a vote of Arencibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. Moved by Arencibia, seconded by Solis, to approve the request for leave of absence for 2 certificated employees and deny the request of leave of absence for 3 certificated employees with a vote of Arencibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. Moved by Arencibia, seconded by Hall, to approve settlement in Office of Administrative Hearing case number 20210700746 with a vote of Arencibia, yes; Hall, yes; Segura, yes; Solis, yes; Tarantino, yes. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for the August 9th, 2021 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Stubblefield, Arencibia,
Yes.
Segura,
Yes.
Solis,
Yes.
Tarantino.
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
The board is very pleased to recognize the Olympian High School boys soccer team for winning the CIF San Diego Section Division IV Championship. So we'll get those gentlemen in here. They finished the season 16. Let me get them walking in here. Okay, here comes the team. They finished the season 16, 3-2 and defeated Steel Canyon 1-0 to take the title. We are so proud to welcome and congratulate Coach Ivan Gonzalez and the entire Olympian Boys High School soccer team on this outstanding achievement. Yes, we'll stand up.
Smile.
One over here. 1, 2, and 3. You want to take out the mask for the picture?
Is that Mr. Winters?
I'm hiding behind my mask, sorry. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3.
Coach, you're more than principal and more than welcome to say a few words, and we have some certificates here.
Well, I just want to say thank you for having us here today. I want to say we have a great group of young men here, and we're so very proud of them. They achieved so much this year. They great season, won league, CIF, finals, state finals, and I'm so proud of them. I was very lucky, blessed to be part of this group. And before they're great athletes, I think they're outstanding young men. And so thank you for having us here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Principal, did you want to say anything? please.
Real briefly. So you all remember a few months ago, it seems like an eternity, all of a sudden, all the sports went at once. So it was crazy. But they pulled it together and we were able to make it, a season out of what we thought was not going to be anything. And so I was just so happy. And I think in one of the videos, you see me jumping up and down and cheering this team because they were wonderful and they were just a highlight of a really crazy year. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good job. Good job. Thank you, folks. Thank you.
All right, we're ready for the softball team. The board is very honored to recognize the softball team from Otay Ranch High. Ladies.
All the way to the front right there. Come on in. Step to the front. All the way to the front.
Come on up, just right here, right here. You just face the audience. The board is very honored, yes, right there, it's fine. It's honored to recognize the softball team from Otay Ranch High for winning the CIF San Diego Section Division II Championship. They defeated Helix, yay, to take the title after an impressive season where they finished 18-7. We are happy to congratulate and recognize the head coach, Johnny Ayala, thank you, and the Otay Ranch softball team on this wonderful championship. Congratulations. You can take your mask off if you want for the picture. Yep, I'm sorry. If you would like to say a few words, Coach? Please.
Hello? Okay, perfect. All right, on behalf of the Otay Ranch Mustangs, I want to say thank you for the award and for the girls that are here and not here. So thank you very much for the recognition.
Thank you. Good job. Anyone else? It's your time. Anyone else want to say anything?
Mary Rose.
There you go, Principal. I knew she was going to do it.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. This is my first year at Otay Ranch High School, and this has been a great way to meet the community. And it's been such a fantastic experience and such an exciting experience to watch these young ladies compete. Because when they're out there, they're very focused. And I think I'm the one who was a little more nervous, okay? And I want to let you know that I didn't mind all that dust in my face. Okay. Didn't mind it at all. And we are so very proud of you, and go Mustangs. Thank you again for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, ladies. The next group of winners, the Castle Park High Girls Lacrosse Team. The board is Coach Chris. The board is proud to recognize the Castle Park High Girls Lacrosse Team for winning the first ever South Bay League Championship in school history since the program started in 2016. They finished the season, please come up, 7-9 with a 4-0. Yeah, you can come right up here and then face that way. That's all you have to. There you go. Is that Nicole? Thank you. So they finished with a 4-0 league record in league play and defeated San Isidro 16-2 to win the title. Coach Chris was selected as the 2021 Coach of the Year. Ms. Fernandez Mora was named Goalie of the Year, and Beth Villalobos was the leading goal scorer. We are very proud of these accomplishments, and which congratulate the entire Castle Park High's girls lacrosse team. Good job, ladies. And if we have the coach, Chris, if you wanted to say a few words.
I wanted to say thank you to the board for recognizing the girls and their achievement. This was a great achievement for the program, something that we've been striving for the last 6 years. We were very close in 2019, and then due to COVID, we got kind of shut down for that opportunity. But they've worked hard over these years, especially the 2021 group. They are the third recruiting class that lead us to this opportunity and to really build this program moving forward. So I wanted to say thank you to the board, thank you to the girls that achieved this opportunity, or this goal, and then of course I want to thank our principal and our administration at Castle Park High School for believing in us and keeping us working on. Of course, thank you to our coaching staff.
Thank you, Coach Chris. Coach, and just real fast, I had a conversation with Coach Chris in his, I don't even want to attempt your last name, if I can say your first name. But I had a conversation with you in your room, and prior, I think it was prior to the season, wasn't it, Chris? And I know he's put a lot of work in getting this started and going, and with support of the principal, Ms. Mitrovic, and I really appreciate that. And you've done a lot to get this going and maintaining, and now you're winning championships. So congratulations to you and the whole team. Thank you. And we're gonna take a picture. And you can take your mask off for the picture, if you would like.
Everyone ready? Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys again.
Yes. Outstanding. We'll now provide an opportunity for SDCOE Representative Dr. Mark Scrivana to make any comments if he would like.
No comments tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We will now have an update from our superintendent, Dr. Moises Aguirre.
Thank you, President Segura. Good evening and buenas tardes, everybody. Welcome to our August 9th, 2021 board meeting. As we continue to be in-person instruction, we're continuing to see COVID-19 cases coming in. We understand that our schools reflect what is happening in the community. And to that end, we continue to schedule COVID-19 vaccination pop-up clinics as we did this weekend at Operation Samahan directly across the street from Sweetwater High School. Pop-up vaccination sites will continue to be added as vaccine staffing and coordination allow. Later this evening, the Board of Trustees will consider an agreement facilitated by the California Department of Public Health with a company called Concentric by Ginkgo Bioworks to bring additional COVID-19 resources testing to our communities through a pooled testing model. Given the rate of change regarding COVID-19 guidance, we will be implementing a weekly update to provide information to our stakeholders regarding change to guidance or protocols as they emanate from the different agencies. I would like to also take this opportunity for anybody watching this meeting who may be on the lookout for a job to say that we at our district continue to look for employees and substitute employees. For our current job openings, please visit our website, sweetwaterschools.org. Lastly, on Saturday, July 31st, I, along with students from Otay Ranch High School, attended the inaugural Filipino Friendship Day. Also in attendance at that event was Dr. Vernon Moore and Ms. Jennifer Carbucha. Thank you to everybody. It was a wonderful event where we had the opportunity to have our students be highlighted in the community. And that concludes my report for this evening. With that, muchas gracias.
Thank you, Superintendent. We'll now have a report from the Student Board Representative, Ms. Gabrielle Stubblefield.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good evening. Basically, schools started, we've had 3 strong weeks in, and me and Natalia, my alternate, and my partner are having a meeting with the ASB presidents tomorrow. We sent out the email to the presidents and the advisors, and we're just going to talk about, just get to know each other and see what their goals and plans for the school year are, and I'll update you on that at our next meeting. Have a good night.
Thank you. This is the point on the agenda where members of the public may address the board on any matter not posted on the agenda and have 3 minutes each to do so. The Board of Trustees cannot legally take action on or respond to matters not posted on the public agenda, but refer the matter to the superintendent's office for review and report. Speakers shall refrain from using profanity and shall speak in a respectful manner. Thank you for your cooperation.
Thomas Leet.
Good evening, Superintendent Aguirre and board members. I'd like to speak to you this evening about our district quarantine policies. And right off the bat, the ask that I have is that we revisit those policies and ask if they are going to do the job to keep us safe. So, basic concept with quarantine is if you do not quarantine the people who are contagious, it's not going to work. And with this coronavirus that's going around, people are contagious before they have symptoms. The difficulty with this coronavirus is we cannot easily identify the people who are contagious. So that is why this thing has spread around the world and is going to continue to do so. Our current quarantine policies allow 2 categories of people to remain on school campuses after they are close contacts of somebody who's positive. One of those is if they're vaccinated, and one of those are unvaccinated people who agree to, and I believe it's exactly 4 tests within 10 days. But they're allowed to remain on campus if they're asymptomatic. They could be infected. They could be contagious. We will not know. And to give you a concrete example, a member of my family who was vaccinated got COVID 2 weeks ago, a breakthrough infection, again, fully immunized. That means this person is carrying a virus that's capable of defeating anyone's immunity. That means mine. Under our current guidelines, I was not required to quarantine. Okay? I chose to quarantine and use my COVID leave for the benefit of the community, but Delta is changing the game. The Delta is better at beating immunity. The Delta is causing people to produce 1,000 times more virus. That means that if the original variant, it took 15 minutes within 6 feet of somebody to be a close contact, with the Delta, it could be less than a minute with the amount of virus that they're breathing out. So I want to reiterate that this board and this superintendent have done an excellent job of following the guidelines of the County Department of Health. I appreciate that. You have held the line against parent opposition in a lot of cases. But I'd like you to go back and ask the County Department of Health, how is Delta changing the game? Are they anticipating more restrictive actions in the near future? Because today's news is that Delta is the majority of cases in the United States now, all right? So please just look at our quarantine procedures and ask, are they doing enough? Is the testing that we're going to be doing for students that were exposed or that but are not immune, is that testing going to happen before they walk on campus? Is that testing going to be able to detect whether they're contagious or not? And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Michelle Beal.
Good evening, Dr. Aguirre and board members. Let me start by saying I did try addressing this issue internally, but have basically been ignored, so I'm left with no other option than to address it publicly and formally. On May 18th, 2 weeks before graduation, I reached out to you, Dr. Aguirre, to inquire as to why students at Alta Vista Academy are not receiving the same goods and services as all the other students in the district, specifically caps and gowns, promotion covers, diploma covers, ID cards. I explained that each year, myself and other staff members use our own money to pay for what the district provides to other students in the district for free. In your response, Dr. Aguirre, you said this was the first you'd heard of it, and Dr. Moore was looking at options for addressing the equity concerns in my correspondence. You went on to say that this would be addressed soon, and Dr. Moore would provide an update as soon as one is available. While I appreciate you responding, your response did nothing to correct the issue, and so yet another year passed where myself and other staff members had to purchase all the items needed for promotion and graduation for our students. I want to be clear. This is not about having to spend my own money on students, because as educators, we all do that. This is about principle, equity, and the district's responsibility to provide the same things for each student. Dr. Aguirre, Mr. Segura, Ms. Hall, you've all had children promote and graduate from this district. Did you have to pay for their diploma covers and their caps and gowns? Will our ASB student representative have to pay for her own diploma cover and her own cap and gown? No. So why should the Alta Vista Academy students have to pay for their own, or have the staff pay for theirs? I also brought up the issue of ID cards, and I'm glad you spoke about the vaccination, because our kids couldn't even get ID cards to get the vaccination. We had to improvise so that they could get the vaccination. Please help me understand why this district continuously treats the Alta Vista students so differently and refuses to provide them with the same things as other students in this district. Is it because the majority of the students are foster and homeless students that you don't do it? Or is it because many are special education students? Or is it because you're students of color and lower socioeconomics? Is that why you target them and treat them differently? Whatever the reason is, it's wrong and it needs to be corrected. This type of targeted discrimination against students is completely unacceptable, and as a district, we should be ashamed that we're allowing it to happen. I know that by speaking up, I too become your target, and that's fine. I'm pretty much used to it. I'm not going to sit by and let you treat kids this way. As I said in my email, Dr. Aguirre, all schools, with the exception of ABA, get a budget for these types of services. There is no reason that the district can't provide Alta Vista students with the same type of budget. And if you choose not to, then maybe each of you can use your own money to help start paying for some of those. Thank you.
Chris Elam.
Good evening, board members. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person today. The start of the school year has been even more exhausting than normal, but I am back again. In June, I spoke about what could be if we didn't change our current actions at the time, and sadly we didn't. While there was some informal quote-unquote discussion about how it'd be great to cap classes at 36 like Unified and Grossmont, there was no increase in allocations to make that even close to reasonable. In fact, in schools like SUHI, allocations remain tighter than ever. We also discussed how slow HR was moving with everything, including the placement of excess teachers who weren't placed until less than a month before the start of the school year. So where are we today? The on-the-ground outcome of the district's poor planning was evident day one, with the lack of foresight into the need for subs to be paid at a competitive rate, adding another layer of stress onto the already burned-out teachers. Starting the first day of school, teachers at SUHI were asked to cover classes, and it has continued daily since then. Some of these classes were teachers who were out for a variety of reasons, but at least 10 of them at SUHI were open positions that had not yet been filled. Again, the Williams Act is an issue here. While we can expect this with SPED teachers or SPED positions, especially with Unified offering a bonus of $4,000 for SPED teachers, there is zero reason for this to be happening with ELA and social science teachers when we have a long list of formerly RIF teachers available. If excess positions were filled before the summer, when we were told they were too busy filling summer school positions, and the month of June was spent contacting and clearing formerly RIF teachers, we would have had classrooms with a teacher of record on the first day of school, thus being in compliance with the Williams Act. Sadly, we are not. Now add that both Unified and Grossmont have given raises for the upcoming school year and now match or exceed the Sweetwater salary schedule for the first time in my 22 years. I won't be surprised if many of these positions remain open. The combination of ridiculously low allocations, SUHI kids always show up, and our numbers always go up, so don't try to blame COVID, we didn't know what would happen, and the ridiculously slow HR process means that we are on day 16 and 19 teachers are over our contractual cap of 176. While we continue to try to beg teachers to take a 1-6, no thanks, we've got enough on our plate, piecemeal new positions together and hire even more teachers to fill them. Even most core teachers who are at or under 176 have at least 2 classes of 38 plus, many with at least 1 class of 40. We have classes required for graduation who have had a daily sub or random teachers covering their classes for the past 16 days. 16 days from now, grades will need to be entered into IC for those classes. For the board members on the west side, I strongly encourage you to see which schools started this year with the largest number of open positions and which continues to have a large number of open positions. The lack of filled positions on the west side schools was one of the driving factors behind Williams. Please give me one more second. One final comment. I would like to urge the district to follow the footsteps of other public agencies around us and require either vaccination or twice weekly testing for all district employees. I would believe we owe that to the families of the children coming to our buildings, and have the district COVID person manage it, because our site nurses are beyond capacity. Thank you. Have a good evening. Stay safe.
Thank you.
No further speakers.
Thank you. Clerk of the board, will you please read the items being pulled from the consent agenda?
Yes, I have a correction to read to board agenda item L1. The backup service agreement has been replaced. The incorrect version was uploaded with incorrect rates listed on page 2. The hourly rate listed in the analysis of the board item for the COVID liaison and team assistant were also incorrect and will be corrected to match the rates listed in the agreement. The correct agreement has been uploaded to Novus. The following items have been pulled: F3 by staff, F6 by Mr. Segura, G1 by Mr. Tarantino, G7 by Mr. Segura, K2 by staff and Mr. Tarantino, L1 by Mr. Segura, and L2 by Mr. Tarantino.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you. And we'll move to F3. Do we have any board members that would like to go first?
Sure, I can go if you don't mind.
Vice President Solis.
Thank you, President Segura. I wanted to just thank everybody in the district for all that they do. I know it's been tough getting school going, and COVID has made it very chaotic. I just wanted to mention and thank those at Granger, because last week, my daughter, she goes to elementary school. One of her classmates was tested positive for COVID, so she had to be sent home, and we all had to go get tested. And we went to Granger with the rapid tests, and luckily we were all okay. But with that, I just wanted to make sure I had a conversation with Dr. Aguirre with regards to my daughter was nervous and scared and understandably, and we tried to calm her down, and we did a pretty good job. She didn't calm down until after she found out she was negative. So I just wanted to see what we're doing to help the kids with their mental health when they hear that they have to be quarantined at home, because witnessing it from my own daughter, it was tough, but we got through it. And then on Friday, I found out my neighbor, their twins, where one of their classmates had COVID, so they had to be quarantined, and they're at National. And she was very upset by it, and we offered to talk to her, but she's doing well. But just want to make sure if that parents get just info, or make sure that they have contact with someone that could talk to the children with regards to their mental health, because we don't necessarily think about that too much. We just worry about the positive test or whatnot, but just that anxiety of are they positive, are they not positive, and it brings a lot of anxiety. So I want to make sure they get that assistance. But I just wanted to say those staff members at Granger were fabulous. Custodians. There was a line when we got there, and they brought out canopies for the extra families that were coming in from the elementary schools, because there's a lot of young kids. So I really appreciate all that, and it really felt nice that our staff was out there making sure that things were getting done and everybody was comfortable. So thank you for that. That's all I wanted to say. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Solis. Anybody? Mr. Tarantino, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, President Segura. First of all, I'd like to thank the following students for expressing their thoughts on the pandemic and the impact on them as they return to school and in-person learning. Kevin Guerrero for Castle Park High School, Gemma Covarrubias, San Ysidro High School, Emiliano Vega Lopez from San Ysidro High School, and Yerlin Lee from Bonita Vista High School. Their comments appeared in the UT on Sunday, yesterday, and again, thank them for having the courage to voice their impressions on what the first 16 days of school have been like. The following teens were named Bank of America student leaders who have demonstrated that they are agents of change in their communities. Kimberly Gonzalez, Zelaya from San Ysidro High School, Zioni Fragan, a graduate from Southwest High School. Each of these will intern for 8 weeks and be paid $17 an hour and receive a Chromebook for their accomplishments. Jessica Arenas from Otay Ranch High School completed the Union Tribune Community Summer Journalism Scholars Program. She worked remotely with UT staff, and her work was published online and in print in the San Diego Union. I'd like to also thank all of those who helped put the Eastlake High School softball field groundbreaking event together last Wednesday. Dr. Cook, Andrea Tarr, and the whole Eastlake High cheer squad, coaches, softball players, Janaea Quirk, and also Armando Murillo, and of course the excellent coverage by our Grants and Communications Department, Nadej Johnson and Omar De Leon. I have 4 requests. I received lots of emails this weekend from residents of the Eastlake Greens community. Apparently there are parking issues in their neighborhood on the following streets: Hilton Head, Lakeview, Waterville. Students are parking in their neighborhood and are not leaving any spaces for residents and their guests to park on the street. If there could be some way that we could reach out to the city of Chula Vista. I know that the homeowners association has no control over that because they are public streets within that neighborhood. But maybe we could get an agreement like Southwestern College got with, let me pull it up because I drove by there today. The following streets are perpendicular to the campus of Southwestern College: Gotham, Elmhurst, Ithaca, Yale, and Fordham. And on those streets, the following signs appear: no parking, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, except city holidays. And this is according to Chula Vista Municipal Code 1087150. So apparently, Southwestern College, the neighborhood of College Estates, had the same issue with students parking in their neighborhood, and that seems to have been resolved. I don't know, there's a sign underneath that sign that says accept vehicles with Area A permits, and I don't know exactly what that means, but apparently there was some kind of agreement that was negotiated. So maybe we can look into that and give some of the residents of Eastlake Greens some relief. My second ask is if it would be appropriate for board members to participate in the district focus walks at the various schools within their trustee areas. Those focus walks include principals and district office personnel, and I think it would be beneficial if the board members were also invited to participate in those walks in their own trustee areas. And the last one would be if we can find some way to find a resolution to the Alta Vista Academy issue in terms of staff members having to purchase diploma covers and caps and gowns for their graduates. I know that each year they have a number of graduates, not as many as our comprehensive high schools, but of course it is a much smaller school. And like Ms. Beal has referenced, these are probably the most at-risk students in our district. So if we could find a way to relieve the staff from having to purchase these items, it would be greatly appreciated. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Tarantino. Dr. Arancibia, if you,
I just want to underscore what actually everyone's saying right now with regards to the test. And I sent my youngest daughter back to school the first week of school, and she caught a flu. And it ended up, making us worried that she had COVID, had to go in to get a test. And she came up negative, but the point being, folks, is we need to continue testing, but also I think it's important that we kind of take a stronger stance towards getting ourselves vaccinated. It's the only way we're going to be able to control the virus locally. And I do think that one of the reasons the numbers aren't going crazy here in San Diego is perhaps because we do have a relatively high vaccination rate. Secondly, I really wanted to say thank you to classified employees and teachers who have made this opening possible. I know it's been a difficult time. I know you're exhausted. I know how exhausted you are because my wife teaches and is a principal as well, and she comes home so exhausted just from trying to figure out what cases did happen or did not happen. And it's taken some of the joy of teaching and being a paraeducator away from the classroom. And I just want you to know that we're here supporting you. We're trying our best to keep our classrooms as safe as possible. We're encouraging folks to, continue getting vaccination, and we're making testing an option that we can find almost anywhere in the district. Please know that we're here. We understand the difficulties that we're going through. We're not alone. Other districts are going through the same issues. But this is the learning curve that we have to have in order to get to the new normal. I just appreciate all of your efforts, from cafeteria workers to groundskeepers, to classified employees working in the offices and in the district, to teachers and administrators. You're not unseen. You see your efforts, and I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, because we're back, and it's because of your efforts.
thank you, Dr. Arancibia. I have the same experience with my wife being a principal at elementary school where the kids are not vaccinated and going through the same. She spends all her time figuring out all the classroom situations when they has to close the classroom and all that. It's very stressful, and I can just imagine that it's stressful from K to 12, and I appreciate the board members have said that all the work and that's been put into this, and the teachers and all the educators, doing everything they can to keep the students in class. So, and the district's plan and flexibility and not flexibility, but flexibility in what we're doing and what we need to do to keep as far ahead of what's happening, with testing and there's some things on the agenda around that, and I just appreciate that. And I like to just thank and congratulate Dr. Moore. Yes, you, sir. And you had got an award from a recognition from the 79th District from Dr. Weber for your participation in your work in the Filipino American COVID Task Force. We really appreciate that. I saw that on the internet, and I just appreciate you and all the team's work doing that, and you and everybody that was there for that event. I had company, or else I would have been there too. But I thank you for doing that. And I appreciate Dr. Aguirre, and your opinion piece in the UT was very well done on our reopening. And I really like seeing things like that out front and positive things as much as possible, or at least letting the community know what we're doing as we opened up. And as Mr. Tarantino mentioned, I wanted to thank all the writers, and Kevin Guerrero his article was in the UT, and if you just Google Kevin Guerrero at Castle Park High, he wrote a really good piece in there, and it's very, very well done, and I appreciate good writing, and I wish I could write like that, but the gentleman really is going to do a lot of good things with writing skills like that. So if you have a chance, I would look that up. That's Kevin Guerrero, and he goes up. He's a senior at Castle Park High, and he was in the UT. It's a very long one. I'd read it right here, but I just want everybody to recognize that and read that. And that's it for me. So with that, I think we're done with that, and we can move to G1.
K6. I mean F6.
F6. Sorry, thank you. That was pulled by me. So yes, F6. So I'm very thankful that and glad we got the those grants, and the only thing I had was that if somebody could notify the CDE, because on the documents, they had the wrong superintendent listed, and I know Dr. Gary signed it, but I wish if we can get notified the CDE that we have Dr. Geddes is the superintendent, and so that could be modified with all documents going forward. If you open that up, it says it, but that's all I had with that, and with that, I make a motion to approve.
Ask a point of information.
Yes, sir.
General Counsel, is it an item that I might have to be able to step out of for conflict of interest purposes, F6? Just confirming. It's a grant, but it's not. Yes? Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. No more questions. We'll vote, please.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 3 yes, 1 recused, 1 absent.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Arencibia. G1 now. There we go. Trustee Tarantino, sir.
Thank you, President Segura. I had a question on Part 3 of the CONAP. It's on page 7. No, not that one. Go down. It's part of a narrative. There it is. Okay. Okay, stop right there. Under where it says Title II, it's a 12-month report, and yet it says, to date, $1 has been expensed on teacher professional development, materials, supplies to support the training, national board certifications and other exam fees for teachers, administrative duties, and indirect costs. Is it really? And they do mention, it does mention that there's still 2 pay periods remaining, but is it really just $1 in 12 months that we've expended? That seems odd to me.
Superintendent?
Thank you, President Segura. I'll ask Dr. Alvarez and Dr. Sokol, since I believe they both have different portions of this particular agenda item. Dr. Alvarez?
Good evening, Dr. Aguirre, board members, Mr. Tarantino. So at this point in time where we are, it is $1. Wow. As you may recall, Title II funded our induction program, and it also funds ongoing professional development. The professional development that was conducted last year primarily was through either CARES Act funds, ESSER funds, or LCAP funding, and so these funds were not utilized at that point.
Thank you. Explains it all. I got it. Thank you.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you. G7, and that was pulled by me. Let's see what I was up to. What was I up to on this? Oh, so if you can go to, I think my question was around the funding source for this. And then if, I said general funding, a general fund, so I don't know if at the time we didn't have the CARES money, but is there any way we could use the CARES money for that instead of taking out a general fund? That's just my question, sir.
Thank you, President Segura. Dr. Sokol?
Good evening, President Segura. So the general fund, that resource 3212 is ESSER 2.
Great.
So it is the restricted component of the general fund.
Thank you for that. And with that, I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
Vote, please.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Down to K2, I think we have a presentation.
Good evening, President Segura, Board Trustees, Dr. Aguirre, and Cabinet and Community. What we will be presenting today or tonight is the 45-day budget revision. And let me go here to the next slide. What the 45-day budget is comprised of, it's singularly focused at where the budget was for the district when we adopted that on June 28th, and what changes transpired with the state enacted budget, which was also the same day that we presented the budget to the board. So it looks at just those differences of what transpired with the final budget, and it's a report out. So as the education code is noted on here, we bring forward within 45 days, and so we have until August 12th, so we'll bring it forward today, to make that information available to the board. This is just a report out. There's no action required like we typically do with the first interims or the second interims. And so we're providing the board with this information and the public. And it's based on guidance we received from the County Office of Education on June 23rd. This is a very scaled down version. It's typically what is done in the past. Last year was very unique. The county provided us guidance to complete a complete SACS report with all funds to the board because the changes were so materially different from May last year to June. So now this year, we're kind of back on cycle with the practice of bringing this forward to the board. And so the next few slides are just highlighting what are the differences. So from this particular table, the dollars did not change. Again, side by side from when we started our work in January to May, and then the final enacted budget. Just a reference here. Where the change came into play was in the local control funding formula. And you can see the area that's shaded in green. This was a add-on by the final, from the legislative standpoint and then the governor, to the concentration grant, which is a component of the local control funding formula. That amount, and based on the latest FICMAT calculator that we received in mid-July, translates to about $3.4 million for the budget, and we'll have that going forward. One caveat is in our conversations with the County Office of Ed, we shared this information with them last week, is that 3.4, and I'll go here to the next slide, will require what they call a one-time supplement to the LCAP. We will need to bring that update to the board by February of next year. It's contingent on us receiving from the state. The CDE will release that template to account for these new monies by November. So we will have from November until February to provide that update. And until then, the county has asked us to put that $3.4 million in reserve, to not spend it, not account it as a placeholder, an expense, until that plan is brought forward. So you'll see here on the template that how that's reflected. And then when we come back for first interim, again, it'll be shown as a reserve until that is brought forward in February. And here are the different criteria, and you can see the last item there, which notes bringing forward that update. So we'll be working very closely with Dr. Alvarez on that information. What that LCAP one-time template, or due to that supplement, will require, it's an engaging process with our stakeholders. So you can see here the various components working with various groups to obtain that information and bring that forward again in February. But more details will be forthcoming once we have the template from the CDE. The other, again, positive to the budget, which has an increase to revenues, and this is based on early or preliminary information we just received from the SELPA last week, right before we finalized the details here for the agenda item. The increase in the state special education funding base rate per student or per ADA went from $625 to $715. Based on the preliminary information provided by the SELPA, that's a little over $3 million increase. So that'll help in terms of the contribution. It'll be less from the general fund. So that is a positive to help support the services for those students. And then the next item, and these are educator investments that were included in the final enacted budget. Many of these are going to be applications that we as a district will need to apply for. specifically for educator effectiveness, teacher residency, and as others noted on this particular slide. So as information becomes available, we'll be bringing that information to the board and apply for those as to receive those dollars. And then the next component, and this impacts our Fund 13, which is our nutrition services program. This reflects the commitment by the state to provide universal meals for students. And also there's a one-time investment of $150 million for kitchen infrastructure upgrades. What's noted here is all districts would receive a base $25,000, and then the remaining allocations are based on students that are eligible, plus a component of classified staff. I've received actually a communication today. We're awaiting that information, so once that allocation's available, we'll include that in the Fund 13 financials. One thing to note is the CDE will be requiring a report to be provided by next June on how those dollars were spent. So again, it's a template that we'll also be awaiting from the state. The other component, which is again another positive, is an increase to our after-school program known as ACES. At this point, and we're providing to the board today, we do not have that allocation. We do not know what that amount will look like, but there will be an increase, and we should receive that from the County Office of Ed, hopefully by first interim. So at that point, we'll reflect that information, and we'll work with those schools on their respective plans. The other positive, and a lot around the advocacy amongst school districts and with our legislators, was a reduction in the unemployment insurance rate. We had it during budget adoption based on May revised, which was 1.23%. The final number ended at 0.5 or 0.5%, which is about a $1.9 million improvement to our expenditures. So that's reflected. So with that, and what's included in the board packet is a template that we received from the county office and how they want this information reflected, and that's again a document we reviewed with them last week. So what we have here is a snapshot. The template has a few more narratives, which they requested that we reflect the unrestricted breakout, the restricted breakout, and then the resource code. So we get very granular for their review. But again, you can see those items that I highlighted earlier, LCFF. It's about 3.4, but this is net. I think it's kind of the nuances with the local component with special education. When there's an increase to the special education, there's also an offset to property taxes. So that's why you see a net of 2.8 in lieu of that 3.4. Under state, the lottery monies, both on the restricted and unrestricted, also increased. Because what we reflect here is total general fund. So again, that's noted there with a gain of $959,000. And then the local, and it's reflected, that's where the SELPA dollars go. So that's why it's in that local category. That's that special education-based funding. So when we take those increases on the expenditure side, then we have to balance out, particularly on the resources that are restricted. We have to balance it out. So that's why you see some slight changes on the certificated and classified line items, because where there was a benefit to the employee benefit because of the unemployment change, we had to offset it to an expense. And so that's where you see the employee benefits line of about 1.9. And then the other offsets to balance out the lottery restricted dollars. So again, all in all, what I call those puts and takes, or the pluses and minuses, it's about $8.3 million pick up to the overall general fund. But again, recall 3.4 million we have to set aside based on that LCFF requirement for the county. And so with that, then with the cash flows, another positive. So again, I'm on a roll with the positive aspects of the budget here. The cash flows, the deferrals that we did initially plan, which were going to be of June of next year, those were eliminated. So those were not built into now our cash flows going forward. And then also there was an acceleration. If you recall, when the state started with hold monies in February, they were going to defer that starting July all the way through November. All those payments from July to November have been accelerated, and we should be receiving them in different payment dates this month. So based on that information, we don't anticipate, that's what you see on the next slide. So again, you see kind of things where it's been eliminated. We don't anticipate borrowing from the county treasury at this point. We had brought forward during budget development about a $15 million borrowing. At this point, we don't anticipate it. We'll continue to monitor our cash flows every month, and then as we get closer to first interim as well. And we've been in contact with the County Office of Education about this as well. So right now, all we have outstanding is our tax revenue anticipation note, and that should be withdrawn here within as well, so that way we can make that note obligation payment for December. So again, a lot of positives. And so again, this is a report out, no action, but we will take this information and then incorporate it into our first interim in December. And if there are any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Selcott. Do we have any questions or comments from the board from all that good news? Dr. Arancibia?
Yeah, and how does this impact our future outlook with a 3-year forward? I mean, that's just to me, just a general one. Are we moving? This is on top of what we ended up this last year with, right? So we're actually very flush with kind of one-time funds that are going to help us get to the next 2 years, correct?
Can you speak into the mic a little better?
Okay.
Sorry. Based on our data from June, this would help that third year. Assuming all other items remain static, this bottom line would help us restore because there was no,
right,
you recall,
yeah, exactly.
there was no economic uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
So assuming everything else remained static, then that would help that third year. At least restore what was not there.
That is great news. A lot of really good news. Any other comments?
Yeah, thank you,
Superintendent?
President Segura. I just want to point out, again, the great work going on by our finance team and across the board to make sure every single department from a cabinet perspective has been focused on rebuilding that budget and financial stability across the district, led by our CFO and her team. But again, this is a reminder of how important advocacy is, and some of the changes that come through from either Sacramento or Washington, D.C. can have a huge impact on us here at the ground level. So the more that we can do to ensure that education across the board is funded at an appropriate level and an adequate level to ensure that we can provide what our students need, particularly during a pandemic, is even more important. So again, just a reminder to continue that advocacy work, to not let up now. I think when we come back for that first interim report, we're going to be able to reflect some of the positive movement, and I just want to commend again the entire team for the work that has been done to rehabilitate our fiscal stability.
Absolutely. Mr. Tarantino, you had pulled this, sir? No?
Well, if I did, it was a mistake.
Okay, then this is just a report, so do we have any other?
Just
Mr. Vice President Solis, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, President Segura. Just a quick clarification with regards to with the 3.4 million with that LCAP supplement that the county wants us to put in reserve. So we won't be able to use it until we do just.
Correct. They will want to plan, so that's where the LCAP will be brought forward to the board by in February. So then at that point, the budget can be assigned to what is in that reserve.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mr. Segura, I stand corrected. I did pull this. And I had a question on the budget books on page 7, the instructional organizational chart. I don't see independent studies anywhere listed.
Is it under alternative?
It's on the budget book.
We can look at that and make sure that that's updated.
Okay, thank you.
So that was just a report, and there's no other questions or comments. We can move on to L1, which I had pulled, but it had been corrected. So make a motion to approve L1.
Second.
Vote, please.
Arancibia?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Then we'll go to L2, pulled by Mr. Tarantino.
Yes, I had a question. I'm glad that we're increasing the sub-pay, but is the amount that we have listed going to be competitive for attracting subs compared to what other districts are paying. I understand that Chula Vista on Wednesday increased their sub pay to $280 a day. First question. The second question is, I would think that we would try to offer our retired teachers more money because of a couple things. Number one, retired teachers usually tend to substitute at the schools in which they taught. And so they're already familiar with a lot of the students. They're already familiar with the school culture. And so it would make sense to me that we would offer them more money because, in my view, there's less of a learning curve in terms of them becoming substitutes. So those are my two questions.
Superintendent?
Thank you, President Segura. I'll ask Dr. Reyes in HR to respond to those questions. Dr. Reyes.
Good evening, Dr. Aguirre and board. So I'm actually looking at the rates for all the different districts. And so you're correct that Chula Vista Elementary School District did an increase of around $280. However, the rest of the districts from San Isidro, all the way from here all the way to San Marcos, they range anywhere from 125 to 200. The one has the highest one is Lemon Grove with 240 for the sub rates. So 240 per day, 250 long term, I believe is competitive.
And possibility of offering retired teachers more money?
So,
is that something that we can consider?
Yeah, obviously we can consider that. It would be a matter of looking at how we would flag them, and it would be up to the board's discretion to look into that, how you would like to proceed with that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I'm sorry, anybody else on that? Nope. All right. Thank you for all those questions and some good.
Oh, yeah, motion to approve?
Yes, sir. I'll second it. Vote, please.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
And I believe that is it. Got the thumbs up. All right. And with that, we are adjourned. Yeah.